So I thought that would be like an easy question to answer because like back in the day it was like you want to build something that goes to space, you build a rocket and like that's it.
Yeah.
But now, and especially if we do like go to the moon and stuff, like you could do almost anything in like work in space because like the moon is gonna need like even like basic machining, like doing machining on the moon is gonna be like a key to like colonizing it and stuff. And so like a lot of engineering things that like aren't rocket science are like very feasible things that I could do. But we'll see.
So you're not you're talking no you're not even saying like to necessarily build the things that help us get to the moon, but just like work on the moon to like what's the
Yeah, would you want to work on the moon?
I
That would be
would. I
cool,
definitely
yeah.
would. I don't. So like this is where it gets. I'm confident in saying that like low Earth orbit for a low five-figure amount will be doable. And the thing is, like the moon is an incredibly like the hardest thing is getting out of Earth's orbit. And once you do that, like things like going to the moon are so much easier. Like, did you know it's if you start on the surface of the moon, it costs like way less energy to get to the International Space Station than if you start on the surface of the Earth.
huh?
So
I mean,
like
that makes sense.
yeah, well,
Right,
you can
less
fact
travel.
check that, but but like it's once it's really just the we need to do it. Like it's like you guys were talking about AI. I was watching Big Sam's podcast, and you were like the math is already there to use quantum computers. Like we just need to like build them, and like
Well, I mean,
it's analogous.
We went there in the 60s.
So
Like, what's
Right.
up with that? What are we doing?
Yeah.
so
Do you have any thoughts on that?
yes, I do. So the space race is basically just the pyramids. It's just a society doing something crazy to prove that their society is like the best. So
Just to leave a legacy or to
yes,
or in-
and
that's
like
the pyramids case.
we could have built a moon base then, and a lot of people probably would have died doing it because like it's just not safe. And like God, the Apollo missions, like those were just those astronauts are insane for going up on a spaceship that has less computing power than the iPhones in our pockets. Like
Yeah.
they were not safe, and like there was no reason to build a moon base. There was no reason to even go to the moon other than to beat the Soviets. But like now we're approaching the point where capitalism is going to take over, and it's just going to be like NASA right now has a plan to go to the moon, but they're like if you look at their rocket, even it just looks like a bigger Saturn V. Like they
Yeah.
don't they're not like improving in the way that private companies would dare to do. And like they just need to the government needs to take the back seat on this and let private companies do their thing, which is like make money by like doing stuff, which is like go to space.
Well, that's the question. Where I've wondered, like, where is the money? I think that's part of the reason we haven't seen as much development in the last, what, like 60, 50 years is because there's not, like, what you can maybe get resources somehow or develop scientific equipment up there or tourism. But other than that, like, what is the potential economy of the moon?
So that's a really good question. So like it's like the benefits of going to the moon, right?
Yeah.
So the moon is like it's crazy how useful the moon is.
Really?
Yes. So the moon is like 40% like silicone. It's like 20% like calcium, and there's like magnesium. There's iron on the moon. It's crazy that we think of Earth and like we think of the ground, and it's like this crappy dirt. It's like this soil stuff, and dirt is like as rare as life itself. Like because the dirt has been created by life, like shedding, like crying, like dying and like breaking up, and like that's happened over so many millions of years that the earth is covered in this like really weird stuff that we call soil, and no other celestial body that we know of is like that. And so the ones that are rocks, they've been hit by asteroids for like millions of years. And so like the moon, for example, has all those things, but there's like asteroids that are like built out of like lithium, or like there's diamond asteroids out there. I think there's an asteroid that's made completely out of diamonds that's like bigger than the Earth itself, and we've like found that.
Really?
And so
Somewhere
like
out in
there
space.
is yes, and so like those are pretty far away. But like going to the moon is going to be great because a lot of what we need to build on the moon is like made of the moon.
Okay.
It's kind of like this treasure chest. It's like as soon as we get there, we just have all the resources to continue building there.
And like the
Oh,
first
okay.
thing that's gonna happen is like moon real estate is gonna be like what
That's
kickstarts
huge.
it. Because once you like take some trips there and you start building habitats, which at the beginning can just be like boxes of like iron, or like we're gonna use steel, but like steel boxes that you bury in lunar regolith to protect yourself from like
Wait, in what?
the radiate. So like the moon has iron on it. The one thing that we're gonna have to import is carbon, because there's no carbon on the moon, unfortunately. There's like very little.
Okay.
The moon, it has like everything though. Like there's, I was saying there's like 40% silicone, like 20% calcium. There's like,
Is there any oxygen?
so like I'm saying silicone, all these things are oxides. So the
Okay.
most
Yeah, yeah.
abundant resource on the moon is oxygen, which
Okay.
is
So
pretty
that's really
crazy.
nice.
And so yes, like the oxygen's already there. We just need to do electrolysis with the lunar regolith, and we're going to use calcium anodes, which calcium's already on the moon, so it's easy. And that's going to be able to separate everything in the lunar regolith. So you just got to heat it up, which is again going to be easy because there's no atmosphere. So you just use the sun, and you can get really hot temperatures. And this is definitely not my area of expertise because the chemistry, I'm just not interested in chemistry.
Yeah.
But like it's doable. It's very doable.
Wait, and you're saying this needs to be done to get the oxygen to breathe, or
So that it'll be, the oxygen will be a byproduct of this. So let's say
Okay.
you want to build a steel box, a nice simple habitat. So you take like the regolith, you heat it up
and sorry,
by
what's the regolith?
regolith. So this
the
is
stuff?
So like this is what the moon is made out of. And like the top
okay.
little bit, there's like dust on the moon because when you get hit by so many asteroids, it breaks everything up, and over millions of years you get these little dust particles. And so lunar dust is really annoying, but like it's not all dust, it gets like bigger and bigger, and it's like that little, like the lunar soil, even though it's not soil like Earth, like that's regolith. And so that is like the easiest. So like we're gonna have to excavate a lot of, and it sounds very arrogant to say like the thing that all these like cultures of humans have been looking up to, like we're just gonna dig it up and like it's just feedstock material. Like it sounds arrogant to say that, but like I think it's so much better than staying on Earth, and I think that's a big part of why we should go to space.
Do you know, are there any materials, like you mentioned silicone, are there any other really expensive or valuable materials that would actually be worth exporting back to Earth? Like what, or I guess we'd have to get the cost of transportation. Is there like, has that been done?
So
Do you
yeah,
know?
that in the moon, like not really. There's not like gold on the moon,
Yeah.
but the moon,
Well,
what the
there's cheese on
moon,
the moon, right?
Yeah, geez.
what the moon should be is our like jumping off point to go and get all that stuff, because it has such low gravity and has no atmosphere. The no atmosphere is actually probably the more important part, because your ships don't have to be aerodynamic at all.
Yeah.
So you could just like launch a space station from like the surface.
So most of our space development can be
Yes,
from moon.
it would
That's
be
what you're saying. Yeah.
once we set up there, like there is economically, other than getting people off the Earth to the moon, like there's no reason to launch anything from the Earth.
So it's like a checkpoint kind of
Yes,
thing.
yes, it is our doorway to like
Yeah,
the
that's
rest
really
of the
interesting.
universe.
I've never heard that.